Welcome back, Sicilian players. I got another fun middle game for you guys. We're playing the Closed Sicilian here, and you're going to see some really common tactics and themes carried out throughout this game. And it was a really good one, so I hope you enjoy it. In this one, we're taking on our Closed Sicilian system against Knight C6. Of course, we're playing Bishop to B5 against this system. And what we're hoping for is that we're going to be able to stack his pawns, but we don't want to stack his pawns like this. So for example, right now, if bishop takes here and pawn takes, we've already given the advantage to black because this amount of pawn strength influencing the center and the flank for black is simply going to be too much for us. So we're going to allow the bishop to hang out there after d6. Now, of course, if our opponent plays a6 in this situation, we're very happy to take and hopefully end up with a pawn structure here. And in my other videos, I emphasize a huge need to just go ahead and play e5 here so that your opponent can never play that d5 pawn break that he wants to. Now this three-pawn trio is isolated in the board, and while it does have the same impact and influence on the center of the board, it's different than it does in our other system. But okay, so after d6, watch the other videos if you want to see what happens with a6 the rest of the way. I decide to go ahead and just play for some space here with f4. Now this is not going to be the best move, but there's really no way for black to fully take advantage of this right off the bat. I decided I wanted to have spatial advantage in the center and to amass pawns over there. Now in this situation as white, what you want to think about is, should I take or should I bring my bishop back to the only square that makes sense, which is e2? You can pause the video here and figure out what you'd like to do in this situation. The best move, of course, is just to go ahead and play c6, bishop takes, and after bishop takes, then I even, computer gives d4 as a move here. I decided to just play sort of more thematically in these closed Sicilian situations where the bishop is exchanged for the knight on c6. We're quite commonly going to end up with a pawn structure like this. So I decide, this is a 3-minute game, so I decided to just stick with what I know and not burn a lot of time in the opening. I know that I'm not blundering when I make a move like d3, although I definitely could have played d4 in that situation. So my opponent decides he wants to fianchetto his bishop here, and after castles and fianchettos, now we're just sort of ready to arm our troops. So I decide to take a setup with a bishop on d2 and a rook on b1 here. And after the opponent castles, what I'm wanting to do now is establish some space and what I can get over here on the queen side. Just trying to take ownership of this. I want to play for, my aim with a4 is that I want to play b4, and I want to start exerting my forces over on the queen side since I have the spatial advantage in the center. And slightly on the king side, black's main area to play on should be on the queen side, so I'm just trying to beat him over there. And black has to play very accurately. Now this is another really interesting time to pause your video. This is an inaccuracy by black. Black should be developing his queen. Black should maybe be playing rook to b8 and playing for control of this b file over here. There's a number of other things that black can do. So this is an error. Should we take? Should we push? Or should we move our king over into the corner and get him off of this dark square diagonal so in case his queen or his bishop can't come to d4 with check? Okay, and if you decided that e5 was the way to go, then congratulations. What we're looking at here is very straightforward calculation that if you want to get up to 16, 17, 1800 level, you got to be able to do this stuff. What happens after pawn push, I take, he takes, I take, he takes, he's run into a brick wall. He has nothing else that he can take, and I do. And so we're going to be up big material there. We're going to be up a full rook, I believe. And so e5 is the way to go because we don't have to worry about a d4 pawn push here. So we chase the knight away, and now what we can do is we can anticipate that this lead pawn is going to come under fire, and we can anticipate, now that he has his knight out of safety, out of danger, that he's going to want to play d4, so we should just go ahead and beat him to the punch. And he decides to take, and we take, and he's swooping in here. What I decide to do is just go ahead and take the bishop. Computer says that is the best move. And what's really interesting in this position is all black can do is sit here now. We're going to go ahead and play bishop e3, just targeting the knight. The knight is undefended, and we don't have to worry about this fork right here because we have a double attack on this square, and black only has a single piece. So black rightly swings the knight back. Now I have to watch out for this pawn push here. This pawn push can get very tricky, so what we've got to do is I want you to pause the video here too. Remember, this is middle game study. We kind of flew through the opening a little bit. I want you to pause the video here and figure out how you can not get your bishop and knight forked in this situation. Okay, and so the answer is to play knight to e2. White with a nice stable advantage, and now you have to feel like c5 is going to come, and now he's going to force this. And after c5, what would you do? My opponent doesn't play c5, but after c5, what would you do in this situation? c5 is the best move. He should have played it. In a situation like this now, c3 is going to give us 4-piece control over this d4 square, and even though he has 4 pieces, we're going to be taking first. So that's going to work out for us. Instead, he plays f5. How should we respond to f5? Should we take en passant, because en passant is a sexy move and you basically should play it whenever you can? Should we ignore it and play something else? What should we do? Okay, so we should ignore it and anticipate that sooner or later our opponent is going to find c5 and go ahead and play this c3 move regardless. Establishing control of the square. Now I can move one of my other 3 pieces away from the square and onto bigger and better things. So he's starting to prepare over here, and now we see the plan, finally, on the 18th move. We see the plan behind rook to b1, and this is going to end up being pivotal in this game, as our opponent has not done what he needs to do in the Sicilian. And he has not played on the queen side, and now here we are with a 1.5 point advantage, and we're going to be able to close this game out in the next 10 moves. We're going to see some positioning here. Now, what I really like in this situation, even though I'm pinning my queen to the pawn, so my pawn can never move, I want my queen to maintain control of the d4 square, so that way I still have 3 pieces controlling it, so if he does move his pawn up there, which is his 3rd piece, and I get to take first, I'm going to win that exchange. So out of the available moves, I could have also just played queen to b3, but a b3 queen doesn't help me maintain my control of the d4 square. So best moves here. And knight moves, so now we've got a nice battle for this pawn happening over here. He decides to shore up, and this is basically sort of spelling the end for him. I want you guys to be thinking about taking control of important files in this situation, and also best move here is to go ahead and cut off his queen from her ability to pressure this pawn. Remember, this pawn is stuck to our queen, and we still can't push the pawn to go queen her, otherwise our queen hangs. So we cut off his queen's ability to attack our pawn. Now he's down to a single attacker, and our move also comes with tempo on a more valuable piece. So yeah, he should probably stack here. We come in, attack our higher valued piece, and we get a fork. And then this is game here. So just some typical ideas for you guys to think about in your Sicilian middle games, ignoring this sexy en passant move and just having this bishop of his, sort of entombed. He never got over to the queen side. So whether you play against the Sicilian or you play the Sicilian, know that queen side battles, once the center is sort of locked up like this, it's going to be very, very important to fight on the flanks. Black should have thought about a move like g5 here to try to chip away at the center and do some other things there in other situations here, just trying to get the bishop out of there and keep fighting. try not to have your knight over in the corner of the board. That's absolutely terrible. So hopefully you guys got a lot out of this, and realize too from watching my other videos not to just simply take in this situation. It's just not going to benefit you. You want to wait until you're provoked before you take it and play from there. So if you guys found it useful, go ahead and leave a comment, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.